This is a KCRG TV9 special report. Now from your 24-hour news source, this is special coverage of Your Voice, Your Vote, the Iowa Caucuses.
1,700 individual precincts and satellite locations will be taking you to many of them here in the state, around the country, and even the world tonight.
And you had to be inside or in line by 7 tonight.
So to make this manageable for our demonstration with M&Ms, let's say there are 40 people in this caucus site. Once the precinct chair welcomes everyone to the room and goes over the rules, they'll pass out presidential preference cards, which are new this year. Caucus goers will then get up and move around the room to join those who support the same candidate. In this room, there's a candidate orange, yellow, green, and blue. Caucus goers could also choose to be uncommitted. Once everyone has made their move, this is called the first alignment. Everyone in the room will fill out their first preference on their presidential preference card and sign it. Viability depends on the size of the precinct, but typically it's 15% of the room. So in a room of 40, that's 6 people. So a group needs at least 6 people to be viable to earn delegates. Candidates green and blue have reached viability and turn in their cards. They can't change their support now. Supporters in the non-viable groups of orange and yellow can either join a viable group, combine to create a viable group, or they can choose to leave. Once members of the non-viable group make a second move, this is called the second alignment, and this year, the final alignment. Those who moved fill out their second preference on the presidential preference card and turn it in.
KCRG TV9's Chris Earle and our chief national political analyst, Greta Van Susteren, join us live now from the Iowa Caucus Media Center in Des Moines.
But the great variable with this is we kept hearing about how many are undecided. And we've had all these candidates crisscrossing Iowa for up to a year now. They've met people from the diners to everywhere else, all the gathering points. And really, who knows where it's going to wind up breaking once you're actually in these caucus sites.
Yeah, and I've heard some odd things, or things that at least have surprised me. I've talked to a handful of people who said they voted for Donald Trump in 2016, and this year their candidate is Andrew Yang. And I thought, now that's an odd jump, except for the fact that they're both sort of, not your usual candidate. Well, of course, and I keep going back to someone like Amy Klobuchar, who's not well known nationally. She's known in the Midwest. I'm a Midwestern. Everybody knows her around here. But she really needs to get known nationwide if she wants to be a serious player, through the primaries. And if she does well here in Iowa tonight, getting second or third place or close fourth place, people are going to know who she is. The media is going to say, oh, wow, look at Senator Amy Klobuchar. She's going to get a lot of attention. Money will start pouring in. People will take a deeper look at her. So winning here actually does matter. Not even necessarily winning first place, but having a strong showing, beating your expectations.
Dubuque County is usually a solid win for Democratic presidential candidates. Donald Trump won it, though, in 2016, beating Hillary Clinton by just 610 votes. The first win for a Republican in Dubuque County in 60 years.
So right now they just finished up handing out the presidential preference cards and getting a head count. 217 is the final number of people who are at this location. Getting the head count is important. They're going to use that number to figure out how many people is going to make a presidential candidate viable. You can see people behind me already sitting with some of their candidates. They just announced somebody has already become a viable candidate. Behind me, that would be Joe Biden.
I'm in North Buena Vista in Clayton County, Iowa, where 8 people are caucusing right now at someplace else, bar and grill. Right now we have 3 people, possibly 4 for Pete Buttigieg. We have 2 people for Bernie, and then about 2 or 3 people who are undecided. We see that woman. She's not really sure if she's committed to Pete yet or not.
James Lynch from the Gazette, the political reporter, joining us tonight.
This time we had more than 20 candidates at one point, and fortunately that's been winnowed down to 11, and about 7 of them really actively competing here in Iowa. So that was a major change. One of the things, and you alluded to this, Bruce, when you talked about how caucuses used to be held in living rooms and places like that, just everything is getting bigger. The turnout is bigger, the campaign staffs are bigger, the strategy they employ is getting bigger. Everything about the caucuses is getting bigger, and as we've heard numerous times tonight, that's creating problems of its own. I mean, people are waiting in lines to get registered into their caucuses. That's taking a lot of time.
An Iowa caucus in Florida. This is one of the satellite caucuses. TV9 viewer Jerry Cochran sent this picture to us from Port Charlotte, where 132 Iowans caucused this afternoon. Amy Klobuchar had the most delegates there. Pete Buttigieg and Joe Biden also got delegates.
The leader in Iowa has changed frequently, with 3 frontrunners in the last 2 months. Tonight, though, only one poll matters, the one happening at caucus locations right now across the state. One of the caucus locations that a lot of people are keeping an eye on is in downtown Cedar Rapids. TV9's Josh Scheinblum is live at Veterans Memorial tonight. And Josh, why the interest in that location?
Well, this location was supposed to be one of the busiest in Linn County, potentially even in eastern Iowa. We saw a lot of folks trickle in just before 7 o'clock. It looks like the grand total is right around 437. That is less than what had been predicted by the chair of this precinct. She thought there'd be around 500. That first alignment going on right now. People are filling out their cards. Now, following this alignment, we move on to the second one, where folks who had an unviable candidate will be able to move. Right now, it's a little hard to see looking out here, but it looks like there's certainly some potential ones as they start to count the cards. Bernie Sanders' group has a lot of folks, as does Amy Klobuchar, Joe Biden, Elizabeth Warren.
They were expecting nearly 1,000 people. At last count, 876 caucus goers. They thought they would be able to wrap up the caucuses in 1 hour. That is not the case. We understand they have just started the first alignment because so many people turned out. Do you see that woman back there? She is knitting. That's how much time they have on their hands, just getting ready to do the first alignment to pick who they want to be the next nominee for Democrats.
Here are the candidates who are still viable tonight. We don't have results in yet. As you can see, this is very slow in what's happening across the state. 11 Democrats are still in the running, and you've seen the ads for an awful lot of them through the course of the last few months. And even uncommitted. The uncommitted was the winner in the 1976 Iowa caucuses that Jimmy Carter was second, and that gave him the momentum to go on and win the nomination.
We're right now in the midst of the second alignment. You can see folks here are trickling out. Right now we're seeing folks, they're signing on the second half of their ballot if they had in the first alignment gone along with one of the candidates who wasn't able to make that viability cut.
This year, the Iowa Democratic Party added satellite caucus locations this year.
And they function just like traditional caucus sites, but are in unique locations in the state and around the world.
So the out-of-town sites are meant for Iowans who are snowbirds or perhaps college students who are studying out of state. This is video from a site in St. Petersburg, Florida. This is from earlier today. You see a lot of people gathered there for that satellite caucus location. The local sites that are in Iowa are meant to provide access to people who might be shift workers, those in assisted living facilities, or others who just can't get to their precinct site at 7 o'clock. There are also Spanish language and ASL interpretation sites. So when you see the results reported tonight, you're going to see them from 104 counties instead of Iowa's 99 counties.
Got it.
It's just one more thing that makes it just a little more confusing.
Now, if we just get results to come in, we can discuss those as well.
Right. The ABC website here tonight, just to try to get an indication of why results are so slow. And the campaign has told, the Democratic Party has told ABC that they're basically doing quality control.
They don't want to have a whoops.
Oh, not at all.
Now, the night, however, was not without controversy. I guess there were a number of individuals who filled out both sides of their papers, picking which candidate they wanted to support. They were not able to count those ballots. They did their best to try and find the people who had written on them so they could find the right candidates for them. And while you guys still wait to figure out what happens, at least when it comes to this precinct, Pete Buttigieg is the one who came in first. Back to you.
Thank you,
Okay,
Josh.
I'm jotting that down. We have one precinct where
We have one report. When you have hundreds of people in some of these sites too, you got to keep track of all these little pieces of paper. So, I mean, the theory is that if you have people fill these out, as soon as they're done with that viability, if they just have to fill out that front side, that they go around and collect those cards. Those people can then leave if they want to. And some people aren't even waiting to see if their candidate's viable, and they may walk out the door with the card in their hand. That kind of defeats the purpose of why they created these cards in the first place.
And it sounds like people got confused. They got checked in, got their card. It can be filled out both sides.
I mean, the New York Times is reporting that there were precinct chairs that were reporting problems with the app even before it started tonight. So they were having problems even tabulating what's the viability threshold, because the app does all of that for you. Yeah. You can use the app and you can type in, okay, I've got 437 people, what's 15%? What do I need to tell this group of people that's viable? And so they're not only having problems getting that started, they're not having problems getting the numbers reported. So the Democratic Party is encouraging those precinct chairs to use the old-fashioned call-in system with a secure hotline they've set up to report the results, so we can have something to pass along to you.
Yes.
KCRG TV9's Chris Earl is standing by live. He is at sort of the nucleus of the Iowa Caucus Media Center. We've been waiting on results. Chris, you're supposed to be getting them first. Are you seeing anything trickle in?
As we're approaching the 10 o'clock hour, if you're looking at some of the national outlets, there's kind of a level of exasperation in the air right now over when these results are going to start really trickling in. And the reports are just kind of very scattered as to why this is. I've been trying to also get an answer myself, but I've not been able to find the people who can give a direct answer for this right now.
We just received a statement from the Iowa Democrats on the delays. It says the integrity of the results is paramount. We have experienced a delay in the results due to quality checks and the fact that the IDP is reporting out 3 data sets for the first time, IDP, the Iowa Democratic Party. What we know right now is that around 25% of precincts have reported, and early data indicates turnout is on pace for 2016. This is the kickoff for the presidential campaign. We can tell you that Republican Donald Trump did win the Republican caucuses tonight here in Iowa.
Easily.
Easily. We understand in Iowa City, at the biggest one there, they're just now leaving.
Yes, and they were hoping this process of only having 2 alignments would make things go more quickly.
It was a pretty long night, but that was to be expected. They had 876 people here. So the 132 was the viability number tonight. That's how many people had to be in a group for it to be viable. And the final alignment just ended. Those numbers, Sanders jumped up a little bit with 295, Warren 304, and Amy Klobuchar actually got 143. So those are the 3 viable groups coming out tonight. Now, Sanders and Warren both got 5 delegates allocated to them, so 5 for each of them. Klobuchar got 2 delegates.
You've been looking into this about how the Democratic Party is changing for the first time in its history how it is reporting. It went from reporting 1 set of numbers to reporting 3 set of numbers, and maybe that's why we're having this delay. This is a big change.
They say they wanted to do this to be more transparent in the process, because prior to this year, they never reported that first alignment or the raw second alignment, or what this year is considered that final alignment in terms of people. And so in an effort to become more transparent, they've complicated the process a little bit, and they were getting calls early on into their hotline, and it wasn't from results, it was from these precinct chairs saying, we're having trouble with the app. We're having trouble even tabulating viability in the app, let alone reporting the first alignment, the second alignment, and then that delegate count.
One woman who caucused for Joe Biden tonight around Des Moines, and she said in that precinct that Biden did reach viability. So everybody hoping for a win. And I also spoke to Biden's national press secretary this afternoon, and he told me that their goal for tonight was to show that they have a strong campaign, but that Iowa is also only the very first step in a long road to the eventual Democratic nominating process. And we'd really like to see those results, of course, here tonight.
We now will be going to Amy Klobuchar as she is about to take the stage, we understand, with her campaign. They are waiting for results just as we are.
Our country cannot take another 4 years of Donald Trump. Our collective sense of decency can't take another 4 years. The rule of law can't withstand another 4 years of a president that thinks he's above it.
But what we're hearing on social media is a lot of these precinct secretaries and chairs are having trouble even getting their results into the Iowa Democratic Party. So once the app had issues, which is how they're supposed to be reporting those results tonight, they were encouraged to call into a hotline. There's not a lot of lines to get in to report those results. So people are waiting on hold for several minutes, up to an hour, then sometimes told, you don't have the right information, we're going to call you back in 45 minutes, and then for them to just call back and be on hold again. So you can understand the frustration not only of people who are watching us tonight wondering where are the results, they're trying to get them into the Iowa Democratic Party.
Right. We have to remember there are nearly 1,700 precincts in the state. It's not like just calling in from one county.
You can get more results just scrolling through social media, because there are people who are saying these are the results, these are the alignment results from the first alignment, second alignment, and the delegate allocation from my precinct. You can get more information scrolling through Facebook and seeing some of those posts than what we're hearing from the party tonight.
The Iowa Democratic Party Communications Director just sent out this statement. We found inconsistencies in the reporting of 3 sets of results. In addition to the text systems being used to tabulate results, we're also using photos of results and a paper trail to validate that all results match and ensure that we have confidence and accuracy in the numbers we report. This is simply a reporting issue. The app did not go down. This is not a hack or an intrusion. The underlying data and paper trail is sound. We simply are taking time to further report the results. So let me emphasize this again. It's of the 3 sets of results.
Well, the Iowa Democratic Party is working to get this result, get them straight. And I want to make sure they're very careful in their deliberations. And indications are, from our indications, it's going to be close. We're going to walk out of here with our share of delegates. We don't know exactly what it is yet, but we feel good about where we are. And look, so it's on to New Hampshire.
And when those results are announced, I have a good feeling we're going to be doing very, very well here in Iowa.
We've been telling you that the Democratic Party, the Iowa Democratic Party, was going to be getting the campaigns together for a meeting. It actually was a phone call.
It was a phone call. We know that for sure that Biden's campaign and Sanders' campaign were part of that phone call. CNN just posted this update a few minutes ago. Campaign sources tell CNN that the call between the campaigns and the party was short and uninformative, and the party hung up quickly to avoid taking questions. They said they were counting votes manually, but didn't provide any details on what that meant.
Wow, we have just received this letter from basically to the Iowa Democratic Party from Joe Biden's general counsel in the Biden for President campaign.
They write on behalf of Biden for President campaign regarding the considerable flaws in tonight's Iowa caucus reporting system. The app that was intended to relay caucus results to the party failed. The party's backup telephonic reporting system likewise has failed. Now we understand that caucus chairs are attempting to, and in many cases, failing to report results telephonically to the party. These acute failures are occurring statewide. We appreciate that you plan to brief the campaign momentarily on these issues, and we plan to participate. As Nicole just read, that call was brief and no questions were allowed.
Right.
However, we believe that the campaigns deserve full explanations and relevant information regarding the methods of quality control you are employing, and an opportunity to respond before any official results are released.
So they want to make sure that the results are correct and legitimate before they release anything.
This is the kickoff for the presidential campaign, and for it to be looking like this, and it's an embarrassment to the state. It really is, and it's frustrating for the campaigns. It's frustrating for reporters. It's frustrating for the caucus goers.
All of her support is still here. You know, people that I've talked to, of course, want those results, but they're patiently waiting, and enthusiasm hasn't really died down, as you can see here, which is good for the campaign.
So we don't know all the results, but we know by the time it's all said and done, Iowa, you have shocked the nation. Because by all indications, we are going on to New Hampshire victorious.
And it's sad to say we don't know which campaign this was, but an advisor for one of the Democratic campaigns tonight tweeted to Yahoo News, I think it was a tweet to Yahoo News, "This is the end of the Iowa caucuses."
That is an ominous statement.
Yes.
This is not good.
We'll have to see what happens and when those results come in.